I'm Katie Spaduro. I'm a certified HR expert and the founder of Cyber and CYB Human Resources. Welcome to our Ask an HR Pro series, where we respond to some of the most common questions that you have sent us or asked us. If you have any questions that you would like to be featured on here, please send them directly to us at info@cyb-ASAP.co. We received a question the other day, and it's something that we actually hear relatively often. Am I paying my employees properly for their technology use? Do I have to pay my employee if they are only answering a call when they're at home at 6 p.m.? I told them that they didn't have to work at night. This is actually way more common than you would think. This is the answer. Reviewing and sending emails or texts and responding to phone calls may be, and often are, legally compensable tasks for non-exempt workers. That means that they should be done during official company time and they need to be paid. This should be described in detail in your employee handbook and your standard operating procedures. By the end of this video, you'll understand a little more about the FLSA, which is the Fair Labor Standards Act, how it applies to you, and how you can manage technology use at your company, whether they're on-site or not, and be sure that you comply with these laws. Let's start with the basics. So what is the FLSA? As stated on the DOL, the Fair Labor Standards Act establishes minimum wage, overtime, record keeping, and youth employment standards affecting employees in the private sector and federal, state, and local governments. Covered non-exempt workers are entitled to a minimum wage of not less than $7.25 an hour, effective July 24th, 2009. Overtime pay is at a rate of not less than 1.5 times the regular rate of pay after 40 hours done in a work week. What is the FLSA minimum wage? So the federal minimum wage effective July 24th, 2009 is $7.25. In cases where an employee is subject to both state and federal minimum wage laws, the employee is entitled to the higher minimum wage option. What is FLSA overtime? So covered non-exempt employees must receive overtime pay for hours worked over 40 hours per work week, which is any fixed and regularly occurring period of 168 hours and 7 consecutive 24-hour periods, at a rate not less than 1.5 times, like I said, the regular rate of pay. There is no limit on the number of hours employees 16 years of age or older may work in any work week. The FLSA does not require overtime pay for work on weekends, holidays, or regular days of rest, unless overtime is worked on such days. A way that you could prevent overtime being done, which we'll discuss, is have a policy in place that states that it must be requested prior to being done. If overtime work is done anyway, then you need to pay them for that. But if it's a policy violation, it can be written up and they can receive a corrective action. So there's ways around it. Just work with your HR professional to figure out how to do it correctly. What does hours worked mean in this law? So hours worked ordinarily includes all of the time during which an employee is required to be on the employer's premise, on duty, or at the prescribed workplace. What does record keeping mean in this law? Employers must display an official poster outlining the requirements of the FLSA, among other things. Employers must also keep employee time and pay records. What does child labor refer to? These provisions are designed to protect the educational opportunities of minors and prohibit their employment in jobs and under conditions that will be detrimental to their health or their well-being. Are you saying I need another policy? You know it. If you are one of our clients, you already know the answer to that question, don't you? As always, it's super important to have a policy surrounding time reporting and employees' use of their devices, their computer, and their phone. But I have a policy and a handbook from 4 years ago, so that's good, right? No. As we say, handbooks are living and breathing documents. They require updates regularly. If you have not updated your policies or standard operating procedures and your employees have not each signed each of these documents, you're setting yourself up for a potentially serious issue. It is important to note that if you cannot prove that your employees knew about a rule or a policy, you may as well not even have one. In our experience, it won't stand up in an unemployment hearing or even potentially in a court case. What policy do I need for my employees who are working at home or off-site? First, you definitely need a telework policy and procedure and associated standard operating procedures. The SOP outlines the process of managing employees who are teleworking. The policy itself is what the employee has to sign that will describe the expectation of working offsite. Consider a bring your own device policy. As SHRM states, bring your own device, a BYOD policy, allows employees to work on their personal laptops, tablets, and smartphones instead of on company-issued equipment. There is a lot of issues with this. There's a lot of issues either way, but the BYOD trend has been driven in part by millennials in white-collar positions who have come to rely on using their own technology for both work and play. While asking your employees to bring their own devices may lower costs and improve efficiency, effectiveness, and morale, it also raises a host of security and potential legal compliance concerns. Luckily, most of these concerns can be addressed through a well-crafted policy by your HR professional. Remember to consider the wage and hour implications of a BYOD policy and set specific parameters around which employees may use these tools and for what purposes. As stated on SHRM, for example, don't give non-exempt employees access to work emails through their smartphones unless there is a business need. You'll also need to make it clear that off-the-clock work is not condoned and will have consequences, and a policy that states the exact same that they have signed. Then, periodically monitor email traffic, and you can check for unauthorized use after regular business hours. Also, check in with employees often to make sure they understand the company's policy. Don't forget to remind supervisors as well, because employees sometimes respond to after hours feeling pressure or expectations from their supervisors. We cover in further detail bring your own device policies and how you can write one for yourself in another post. Let's go over a few options for the business owner a little more. So your policy could state that off-scheduled technology use is prohibited. This may not be an option for many companies. However, if you do prohibit off-scheduled technology use and an employee uses their technology, which is against the policy, you can write up the employee for breaking policy. Keep in mind that you would still need to pay the employee for the work that they did, whether or not they broke a policy. 2, you could permit off-schedule technology use for certain roles, but clearly outline expectations in an agreement with the employees and make sure that it's listed in the job description. You should work hand in hand when creating these policies with an HR professional. The policy should be sure to include any time spent working should be when the employee is clocked in. Privacy issues, ownership, acceptable use, and what happens when an employee is terminated should also be included in the policy. Whew, that was a lot. So we know there are a ton of laws that you must comply with as a business owner. Luckily for business owners everywhere, companies like Cyber and CYB Human Resources exist. We specialize in getting you and your business to the next level without you having to hire an in-house HR professional. Remember to communicate with your employees, have processes in place, and let Cyber help you along. Outsourced HR support gives companies of all sizes a leg up and allows small business owners the ability to continue to make decisions legally and with the support of an HR team. It's also been shown that you may even sleep better at night knowing your HR bases are covered. Isn't that the goal? Thanks for checking out our blog. That's all we have for today. If you have any questions that we haven't answered, give us a call now or send it to info@cyber.co. That's info@cybhr.co. Maybe we can feature your question next. Subscribe and like us on YouTube or send us a message for more information. You can also text or call us at 1-833-CYB-ASAP. We look forward to hearing from you.